Morning.
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 How's everybody?
Morning.
You awake yet?
Oh,
Everybody awake? All right. So who we got? We got Nick, Yinshu, Cindy, Suk, and Zanchi. Okay. And I see three faces. I love it. Uh wow. Let's see. How come there it is. Okay. How was the weekend?
mm,
Not good? That good, huh? Y'all are so exciting.
It's all right.
Uh let's see. I had a pretty good weekend. It was chilly though, right?
Yeah.
Um, okay. Thanks for asking. Um, so today we're this week we are going I think the tutorials won't last too long. Particularly the one on Thursday, because our projects are due next Tuesday. So I want to give you an opportunity to work as much as possible on your projects. And also, if let's say on Thursday, maybe some of you need some sort of last minute one-on-one conferences, you can schedule those with me. What I'll do for today is post a meeting schedule um, for Thursday for our Thursday. So I will do a bit of a tutorial on Thursday. I'm actually going to introduce JavaScript to you on Thursday, along with this other thing that has to do with CSS. So that Thursday is a little bit of a transition because next week we jump into JavaScript. We add that, and I will introduce to you the project, the next project. Thursday is a bit of a tutorial introducing to JavaScript, this sort of more advanced CSS operation than we've done, and then if you want whatever time's left over, we can have one-on-one meetings if any of you want to. Those are just voluntary. You don't have to, but let's say, but hopefully by Thursday, you'll have made some progress on your projects that you know whether you will need my help or not. So my suggestion is that you do as much work as possible on your projects between now and Thursday, if you haven't yet. And if you any, or, not just problems, but if there's something that we haven't covered yet that you want to know how to do, that's something I can cover with you on a one-on-one basis. Or if you're trying something and you can't figure it out or whatever, that will be for you on Thursday. You can also, just chat with me after class today too, as well. So we'll see how much time we've got for that. Okay. I mean, and anytime really, if you really need a meeting, and then we can try to figure out a time for me to meet with you if it's not during our schedule at our class time. You can, that's up to you, but I'll leave that up to you. Does anybody have any questions before we begin the tutorial? No. Anything that you're trying to do that you can't figure out yet? No? Maybe nobody's tried to do anything yet. So my suggestion is get moving on your projects if you haven't started yet. You have 1 week, right? To make them as good as possible. So today what we're going to do, hopefully there's some things today that you'll like. The first couple of weeks is just sort of getting into like how does HTML work, how does CSS work, basic stuff, right? But now, I mean, I guess you saw a little bit last week how the websites can start to look more like the websites that we know when we visit, when we go online, right? So today I'm adding some a little bit fancier things, nicer things that we can that might be useful for you. Okay, so let me make sure I'm set up. Just give me a second. Go ahead and set yourself up, right? Set your folder system up, create your index as always, and I'll do the same. Ugh. Okay, so I think I'm ready to go. Share the screen. Okay, here we are. Move that over here. Open this up in my browser. Make it separate from Windows. Okay, so there is the index, right? I set my folder system up as I always do, like so. The code as we've always set it up to be, pretty much the same stuff as always. We're going to create a series of effects today, new things. A lot of new things today. I want to go ahead and throw out there, right? So that you know how to do them. Most of them are not super hard. They're just little things that will help your pages in case you want to include them. All right, so we will need a menu today. We're actually going to use more than one. So let me set up inside my wrapper, since I'm going to have a menu system. I need another div for the menu. Oops. And then the one that we'll just call main, like we did last week. Okay, so we have the wrapper, and then nested inside the wrapper, we have menu and main. Okay, and inside of main, we'll have an H1. What should I say this? Well, these are most of the last tutorial HTML, CSS tutorial. So this week, I don't know. What do we call it? Image gradients. All right, let's see. I think that's everything that we're going to do today. What's better, since this is just a grab bag? Let's do not a C. H. Is that how you spell miscellaneous? That looks wrong.
I think that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Is it right? Okay, thanks. It's like, all right. So All right, so since we know what we're gonna put in there, I think that's everything. I might have left something out. Let's go ahead and create our menu. Since even though we haven't created the pages yet, we're gonna go ahead and create our menu. Now the first page is gonna be our home, which is gonna be the index like we did last class. So ref equals index.html. That's this page. Oops. We'll call it home. Then we'll do the background image. All the rest of the pages are going to be in the HTML folder. So I need to put HTML first and then VG. A chart equals VG HTML. Oh, I didn't put iframes. Maybe we won't do that today. We will do audio and video on the same page. May do one other thing, but we'll wait and see how much time we have and whether we feel like it. So again, I've not made these pages yet, right? But I know that I'm going to put all of those pages in my HTML folder. So I might as well, since I know that's what I'm going to do, I might as well write it out. Okay, and there we go. So the only link that'll work will be home because home is the index, right? So the rest of the pages won't work yet. All right, so, but home works since that's this page. All right. How's that going?
Yep. All right, so we've got the HTML here, right? Make sure everything works properly. I guess I'll go ahead and add the CSS. We'll start that anyway. So I need a file in the CSS folder here. So right click on the CSS folder, new file. I'm going to save this as styles.css.
Right. And I'll just start with the body stuff. Actually, HTML, body stuff. Okay, simple stuff to begin with. Alrighty. Um, now let's make the link in the index. There we go. Just make sure that your link, your colors come and everything looks like mine. If you need me to look at the CSS again, I can. All right, are y'all with me? Everything look good?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's add a few more styles then. I'm going to put a temporary background color here while I construct the wrapper. So it's centered, right? Let me get rid of that color because it's awful. I mean, red is a fine color, just not with this color mixed together. It'll make me go blind. All right, so we've got the wrapper in the middle, right? So we also, if you recall, we have in our index, we have the menu and the main, right? So which are inside the wrapper. So let's see if we can style that a little bit. And I'm also going to put some temporary background colors there while I make them. Since the menu is inside the wrapper, I want the menu to extend all the way across the wrapper, right? So that I put the width at 100% for the menu, which means 100% of the wrapper, which is what we would call its parent, right? Menu is inside or nested within the wrapper, so the parent of the menu is the wrapper. When we say 100% of that, for example, we mean 100% of its container, which is the wrapper. Um, um, so the red one is main, is menu, and the magenta one is main. Okay. So the reason there's space between them, even if we look in the index and we see that there's really nothing between the closing of the menu and the opening of the main, right? But there's still a little space there. That is due to the H1. So I'm gonna try a couple things with H1 besides style it, right? Give it a height and a font and all that. A size and a font and all that. I also want to get rid of that space. So let's go ahead and start though with size. Let's say 64 pixels. Well, that's good, but notice when it gets to a certain size, it starts to go outside. So I want, maybe that's a bit big. Let's make it 48. That's pretty good. So let's remember with menu, we had a min width with a minimum width, so we don't want it to get any smaller after it gets to a certain point. Maybe 48 is still a bit big. Let's make it 44. Let's make the wrapper min width. Well, I don't know, trial and error. Let's see what it'll be. Let's try 400 pixels first. So it gets smaller, smaller, but then it stops right there, right? Doesn't get any smaller than that. That's pretty good. So that, let's make it 400 pixels then. So that menu, the name never goes outside the boundaries of the wrapper. Okay, let's see. Family. Now today we'll also do probably web fonts. Yeah, I'll do that today after the break. But for now, we're gonna do just the same we've been doing. And I'm gonna no, I don't want that. Not what I meant to do. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of the colors now that we sort of set this up the way we wanted. I got rid of that space between the two divs, between the menu and the main, by getting rid of the margin for H1. So let me get rid of the background colors from menu. Oops, where did that come from? And for main. Now, if I have other divs and I end up having more than one H1 on a page, which we don't normally do, but let's just say, then I want these styles to just be for this H1, not any other H1s that I might put on this page. So to ensure that, I will, since the H1 is inside of the main div, right? If we look at index, we see that this H1 is inside of the main. If I put other H1s later, then I want to make sure that styles are that I'm doing for this H1 are only for this H1. Then I can do something like we did last week, which was put the name of the div that this is inside of. Because that means only those H1 tags that are in the main ID, right? Only those H1 tags that are in the main ID are going to be styled this way. If I create another H1 that's not in the main ID, then it won't be styled this way. Oh, all right, let's set a color. Um, let's say some more space here so we can see. Center it. That change anything? Yeah, it reduces it a bit. That's good. Okay. Okay, how about we add a little bit of space between the letters? Okay, a bit less. I liked it better at 3. Okay. Next, let's do H2. Mm, that's too big. Nope, not that. Nope, not that either. That's a bit better. Yeah, it's a bit better. Okay. Okay. All right. On a sec. To look something up. All right, so let's see. Let's style the links in the menu. I'll put those up here. And since they're in the menu, I'll put menu A for the A tag. Margin 0. Font size. I think a little bit bigger, maybe. 14 pixels. Font. I don't even know. Do the same font. I don't care, really. Okay. So if you recall, well, let's give it some temporary background color. Maybe I'll keep the background color. We'll see. Um, let's say background color. Um, how about the same as that H2 text color? Let's do that. This color here. Okay. And then the color, I'm not going to do the color. So remember the A tags are inline tags. So in order, if I want to turn these into like little things that look a little bit like buttons, that we have to give them a width and a height. But we can't do that with the A tag since it's an inline tag. So in order to do that, we have to make the A tag behave like a block tag. Right? So if you recall, let me just go through this process again. We put display, oops, block, right? When we do that though, that makes them line up vertically, which is not what we want. We want them to line up horizontally, or I want them to line up horizontally. So in order to do that, it's not just block so that they line up vertically, one block on top of the other. I want them to be horizontally. So I call them inline blocks. Okay. Now I can give them widths and heights. Again, a little bit of trial and error here. So how about height? I don't know, let's see, 25 pixels. Maybe not be enough. Yeah, that's pretty good. So if I didn't style them as blocks or inline blocks, I wouldn't be able to give them heights like this. If they were styled as just inline, you can assign widths and heights to inline tags. Okay, what about width? I'm going to start with a certain width, but I'm going to width. How about, well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. Overall width is 400 pixels. The minimum anyway, right? Remember we put the minimum for the main as 400 pixels. I mean for the menu. Because the minimum width of the wrapper is 400 pixels. So if the minimum width for the wrapper is 400 pixels, then the smallest amount for my menu items can be 1/5 of that since there are 5 of them, which is 80. But there's still got to be a little space between them. So we have to account for that also. So how about we just start at 70 pixels and see what that does for us. It makes things look a little weird. There's not enough space for BG gradient or audio video to fit within that space, right? They don't fit. So maybe a little bit wider than that. When we do 80, right, it sends it to the next one underneath because it doesn't fit within the 400 pixel minimum. Right. I think that's a pretty good size because all the words fit, but it doesn't fit within. So let's see, how about if I get rid of that space between the blocks, between the menu items? And so let's see that. That's what we call the default margin. I think I have margin as 0. Oh, let me think. What is that spacing? I always forget stuff like this. What is that little spacing? Well, what if I put 75? Is that going to work? It still doesn't look awesome. We can make this text a tiniest bit smaller. That'll help. So what this sort of trial and error and negotiation between sizes of things and spaces of things is something that you end up doing a lot. Great, so that works pretty well. Just barely enough space to fit them all in there. Now, the only problem with that is that they never get bigger than the 400, right? And then they start to go off to the side like this, instead of staying right in the center. So that's the problem with setting an absolute pixel number, because we can't change it very easily. So if we want that menu to get larger as I increase the width of my browser window, then I need a percentage here. So why don't we put, if we put 20%, well, 20 times 5 is 100%, and we've got 5 buttons, so that seems to make sense. But because of that space in between, that's not really going to work for us. It'll send that one to the next line. So why don't we try 19%? And that seems to work. It does, good. Okay. Let's see what else. Let me think. How about vertical align middle? I don't remember if that works. No, I didn't think that would work. Forgot how do we padding. So padding, remember, is space around something. So I find that these words are a little bit too much close to the top edge of the box that they're in. So I want to add a little bit of padding so that they come down a little bit. Just to the top edge. 20 pixels, let's say. That might be too much. Let's make it less. Since the overall height is 25 pixels, let's just put 5 pixels there. Let's see what that does. Maybe more. Maybe 10. That's better. Okay. Awesome. That look okay so far? Now,
Yeah.
if you recall last week, in order to make these sort of interactive, I'm going to eventually put the background color in a different place, but that's just so we could see these, right? All right. So now I want to make them interactive so that when I mouse over them, they change a little bit. And here's where I'm going to put things like the color of the text, the color of the background, and adding and subtracting the underline. So that's menu, menu, a link, and menu, a visited are the first two link states. And let's say color. What color do we want it to be? Maybe a darker version of the background color. What's my background color? Something about 00 or 677. Let's see what that looks like. Not bad. X none. It takes out underline. Okay. Oh yeah, the background color. I'm gonna take this background color out of here from menu A. I'm gonna put it here. Right, so I no longer have the background color in this, but I've put it right here. It's not going to change anything, right? For now. Now I want to style it for when we mouse over it and click on it so that it changes the background color and changes the font color or text color. So menu A active, menu A hover, right? That's when we click and mouse over. So different color. Let's say, I don't know, something reddish maybe, reddish pinkish, purplish maybe. I always get stuck with colors. Let's say CC. What does that look like? Pink, less blue. Let's see, still too pink. I don't mind that. I don't want to belabor this too much. Okay. Whatever, I'll just stick with that. Text, decoration, underline, and background color. Let's just make it darker than the background color of the page. 0, 0. Well, let's make it the same color as the original. This 477. Okay. I hate that, but I hate those colors. I'm gonna make it the link color the same as this guy, the H1, which is FFEEAA. And I don't want that. I decide I don't want the underline. I don't think I need it. No, put it in the wrong place. My bad. Should be here. Right. Confusing myself. Right. So the background and that, yes, it's here. All right. That looks better, but no under. All right, better. Now, when we make it bigger, the buttons get bigger. Okay, that's okay. I'm pretty good, pretty happy with that. Boring, but still, it all kind of goes together. So CSS, as you can tell, is something that you could just spend forever on, changing your mind. Looks good. This doesn't look good. So when you're working on your pages, I wouldn't spend too much time up front on the CSS. Ultimately, what you want is the page, the website to work, right? And you want to have the right number of pages. You want to have the right text. You want to have the right images. The styling should come later, right? I would say that, I mean, styling is always important, right? We're designers, we're artists. So we want things to look a particular way. That's really important to your concept. However, it needs to function first, right? You also need to have the content, right? So you can't have pages that function without content. You can't have content that doesn't function. So those two things are super important, that you have all your text, all your images working properly and there, and that the page functions. So I would do that first and, get some colors in there. Yeah, sure. But then you can always change your mind about the way the page looks, right? So if it doesn't look right, at least it works. That's the main thing you should think about when you're putting together your websites. Make it work, get all your text first. That's why today I kind of had a soft deadline for you to collect all of your assets, right? All of your images, have all your text written, right? All of that for today, so that you have that ready. That's the most important stuff, right? You have to have your content. If you don't have content, you have nothing. Number two, it has to function, right? Your pages have to link together. All of the functionality should be there. Number three is when you start designing how the page looks. And you can keep changing your mind about that. When we look at your websites together briefly next week, there should be some commentary about how it looks, right? And how that works with your concept and the idea of your web page site. So that stuff can always change. So for example, for the second project, as I've mentioned before, the second project can be a kind of continuation of the first project, if you like. I recommend it too in such a brief class. That way you can revise your first project the way it looks according to how we make the comments that we make, right? All right. In any case, I just spent a long time making this look right. So do as I say, not as I do, right? Okay. Now, how about we add some pages? So we're going to do that in the HTML folder, right? So I'm just going to go get my templates. We have 5 links, right? One is home, which we've already got. That's the index. So we need 4 more files, right? HTML files inside of our HTML folder. So I'm going to go get my template, right, which I have right here. And I'm going to copy that, and then I'm put it inside the HTML folder 4 times. So that's going to be, so the names of my pages, let me go back to the index, are index, BG image with an uppercase I, BG grad with an uppercase G, AV, and button. So let's call this BG IMG. And then this is going to be called BG grad. And that one is going to be called AV. And that one is going to be called buttons. So those are all inside of my HTML folder. So now, if I click on my since I have those, I named my files in the way that I named them in my index, I should be able to click on these links at the top and they work, right? So BG image, great, it goes to a page. It's blank, but it works. BG gradient goes to a page, good. audio visual goes to a page, and buttons goes to a page. They're all blank, but at least they link to a page. So those are the files here, right? Okay, so I might as well go ahead and work on those pages a little bit, make sure that we have the same menu in all of them, right? So I'm just going to copy all this content, right? The wrapper, the menu, the main. I mean, I'm going to change some of this stuff, but I'm going to copy this content and paste it into these files, these other new files. So I'm starting with the wrapper here, which is the first div, and I'm copying down to the closing div here, right? Not the body, not the HTML, because I know those are there already. So everything between the body tags is what I'm copying. Everything between the body tags. So I'm going to go then I'm going to start with BG gradient, or BG image, I'm sorry. And I'll paste it like so. So that's basically what I want it to look like. Same exact thing as my index for now. So that's BG image. So instead of this is page 2, this is the BG image. So I'm going to put in the title here, background image. This is page 2. So for H1, I guess I'll just put page 2. And for H2, I'll put the same as the title, background image. The other thing I need to put here, right, is that link to the CSS. So rather than type that again, I'm going to copy that from index also. Paste it here. I have to change this link, right? Since I'm looking at BG image, right, which is inside my HTML folder, if I want it to link to the CSS, then I have to tell it to come out of the current folder, which is this HTML folder. So to tell it to come out of the current folder, I put ... slash, then everything else is the same. Let's save that. Now if I go to BG image, this is what it looks like. BG image HTML, page 2, background image, the same links at the top. Now these links are not going to work yet because we haven't changed the links yet here. Remember, we copied these from the index, which is not in the HTML folder. So if we want these links to work, then we have to change them. So I'm in BG image, which is right here inside the HTML folder, right? So if I want to go back to the index, I have to tell it again to come out of the current folder. So I put a dot slash there in front of index. Now I am in bgimage.html, so I don't need to tell it to look for inside the HTML folder. to go to BG image, right? It's already there. So I take the HTML in front of these other files out because we're already in the HTML folder. Okay. Alrighty. So that means that av.html, bggrad.html, and buttons.html should all look basically like this, right? All of those other pages that are inside the HTML folder should look like this. The only difference is going to be the title, the H1, and the H2. So to make things easier on myself, I'm actually just going to copy all of this code. And I'm going to go to AV and paste it and change the title. This is going to be page BG image, BG, that's page 2, 3. This is going to be page 4. Okay, then the BG gradient. So this is background gradient. Page 3, background gradient. And then buttons. Buttons, this is going to be page 5. Okay. Hope I didn't jump around too fast for y'all. So now I should be able to go from page to page. Background image, background gradient, audio and video, and buttons. Let me know if you need help, please. If I lost you, I can go to a particular page so you can see what it looks like. I can go to the styles. So just give me a thumbs up when you are when you got it. You got it to work, click on your links, test them all out. All right, Cindy, gotcha. Nick, thank you. All right, I got two people. Anybody else need help? Nobody's done thumbs up. I've got Cindy and Nick. What about the rest of you? Y'all doing okay?
Yes, I'm doing good.
Are you ready for me to move on, or are you still working?
Yes, you can move on.
Okay. And Sil?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. All right, since nobody said anything to the contrary, I'm gonna move on. Um, Okay, we're going to take a break in a second, but let us do, how about we just do the background image, right? And then I will go on break. So we're going to go to the page for background image. Now, that means we need a background image, right? So you're going to need to download an image and put it into your images folder. It should be a large image. The larger, the better, right? So get as big an images as you can. Let me see what my image size is. Probably not very big, actually. Let's see what my image size is. Mine's small, so I'm going to get a different one. It's too small. So let me, I don't want to use that one. I want to use a. So I'm feeling in a beach mood today. So I had Thailand. Let's see if I can find a nice big. Images. Oops. Which one do I like the best? Well, that's kind of nice, but I don't like the color very much. What's the size of that? It's not very big. What's the size of that? Fine, but not huge. Very big. Being picky again. That's a big image. That's really big. So that's the one I'm going to try. Open image, new tab. Yeah, good. Save image as. The wrong class. My desktop. There we are. Well, it's the wrong kind of image. I have to fix this. All right, so let me save it here. The WebP image is not a great image to use. So I have to convert it. Sort of roundabout way. So now I have the JPG version. I'm going to get rid of the WebP version. All right, let's see if I can get this to work. So my image is called Thailand.jpg. All right, so in order to do a background image, it needs to be assigned with CSS. Before, like when we put an image into a page, right, we just use the img tag, src equals blah, 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 right? That's how we put an image before. But for background image, we don't do it this way. This is not the way we do it. If we want it to be in the background, we assign it with CSS. Now, the way I've made this page, this website, little website we're making, I don't want the background image to be on all my pages, right? I don't want it to be on all my pages. I just want it to be on the page that says background image. When I go here, I see a background image. If I put it in my style sheet, now the way we do a background image for the whole page, we would do it for the body, right? Since the body affects the entire page. If I put it in the body here in my CSS, then it's going to affect every single page. But I don't want that. I only want it to affect the BG image page. So there's an easy solution. There's actually more than one, but the way I'm going to choose is we can actually put, we have CSS in a separate file. We can actually put CSS directly in the HTML if we want. So if I put the CSS here inside my BG image HTML page, it's only going to affect this one page, not all the pages. So sometimes I have my website, I want to style the whole website, but then maybe some pages have slight differences, right? So this page is going to have a background image. So if I want this page, I want it to look like all the other pages, right? With the links, with the heading and stuff. But the one difference is going to be the background image. That means I'll put that CSS directly in this file because it's only going to affect this page. The way I do that is to put it in the head tag below the link here. I don't add another link because I'm not linking to another file. I use what we call the style tag pair. Oops, not audio. The style tag pair. Let me add a little space here. And so I put the styles between the style tag pair. I type the CSS right here. So what this style tag pair is like, so all of this that we typed here up to now is HTML. What the style tag pair does is allow us to create this little space here where we speak CSS, right? So this is a little enclave where we speak CSS in between the style tag pair. But I have to say what well, I'm just going to leave it blank. Styling, so type equals text CSS. So inside here is where we're going to be typing not HTML, but CSS. Okay. All right. How do I add a background image? Well, I type background. Oh, I have to do the body first. I'm setting it to the body. So I type it basically the same way I would type it in the CSS file. I'm styling the whole page, so it's the body. And then for background image, I type background, put a colon. Now I have to link to that other file, right? To the image file. That is my URL. So the URL to the other file. That's the address basically to the other file. It's in the images folder. So I'm right now currently looking at this file, which is in my HTML folder. So I have to put .. / to come out of the HTML folder. Then I have to tell it to go in the images folder to look for the image. And then I put the name of the image. In my case, it's Thailand.jpg. We're not quite done, but that should put the image in the page. So when I reload this page, it does not. Did I save it? Why doesn't it? Oh, I'm in buttons, no wonder. Background image. I was in the wrong page. So there it is. I have a background image here. That's my image. I don't want it to look like that. Now, if you put a smaller image, what's going to happen. Let me get a smaller image just to give it to give you a sense of what it's going to look like if you do a smaller image. Just give me a second. I'll just download some other small version of the image. Doesn't matter what image. I'll just do this one. That's big also. I mean, some of these are really nice images, but they're too, I want a small one, not a, let's just a smaller one anyway. That's good. That's pretty small. You don't need to do this, by the way. I'm just gonna show you what would happen if it were small. We'll call it 02. So instead of Thailand, right, my smaller version of the image is 02. So if I put a smaller image, this is what happens. And if you have a small image, that might have happened to you, right? That's called tiling. The default behavior, if you have an image that's smaller than your browser window, is that it tiles it like this, which I think fine if you like that, but I don't want that. So I am going to make it so that that doesn't happen. So I put after the closing parenthesis here, but before the semicolon, I put no repeat. If I put no repeat, that's gonna, oops, sorry. That's gonna stop it from tiling. But then it only puts one here, right? And it's too small. I can stretch it, but keep in mind that making an image fit is going to reduce its quality, right? So anytime you try to make an image bigger, it's going to look worse, which is why I originally chose such a big image. But I want to show you what's happening with all the attributes. This is not what I want, but so another one, the next attribute is, or property is fixed. And then that doesn't change anything apparently yet, but the next thing I want to do is background size. And I want it to cover the page, right? Cover. Right, so when that's what it does, it covers the page. Now I can see that this image, because it's not a high quality, you probably can't tell over Zoom, but you can start to see there's a little pixelization that's happening, and that's because I stretched the image and made it bigger. The quality is not great. So I'm going to go back to my original image, which was just Thailand, not Thailand 02, so that I can get my original large image. And so the quality is much better when I make it big. I mean, this was not a great quality image anyway either, but it's better than the first. I would treat the color because the sky is a kind of washed out looking color. Did y'all get your background image to work? Okay, so how about we take a bit of a break? It's 11:05 almost, so how about at 11:20 we start again? So I'm going to stop sharing for the moment. So 11:20, okay? We will resume and do the rest of, excuse me, the rest of this stuff. Oh my gosh, excuse me. Thank you. So, okay. See you in a little bit. Okay, here we are again. So let's begin again. I did the background image. Excuse me. So how about we go directly to the, did everybody get that background image to work properly? Just to be sure before I move on.
Yep.
Yep. All right. So going back. So we have the background image. Let's do the page for the background color. One sec. Make sure I'm all set up. Give me a minute. It's not this page. What was it? Right, CSS gradient that I have. All right. So let's go to that page. In order to do the background gradient, we do this similar thing to what we did with the background image, since we only want the background gradient in the page that says background gradients here, then we're going to add the CSS in that HTML file, which is the bggradient.html. So we need the style tag with its attribute. And that's where we're going to put the styles. Now there's a really nifty tool that we don't have to like do it, imagine it. We can actually use the tool that will do the background gradient code for us. There's more than one, but the one I like is called CSS gradient.io. So the default is this sort of blue gradient that goes from a lighter blue to a darker blue. And that's the code for it right here. This is the first line of code is if the gradient doesn't work, it'll just put this background color. If it does work, then it does this. But there's, all right, so I'm going to choose a gradient. You can put as many colors as you like. We can start with just 2 colors and any colors that you like. So if I want, say, it to start at red, I can put, and I can do these sliders. And let's say I want the other color to go to, I don't know, purple. So it goes from that red to purple. What if I want it to go, I don't know, to red to purple to yellow? Well, I can add another thing here just by clicking underneath that bar, say switching to a different color. If you want really abrupt changes and less gradual changes, you put the sliders closer to each other, like so. Or once you get the gradient something you like, then you can also angle it, right? It doesn't have to, you can, this is where you change the angle of it. Just rotate the angle and you can see it slanted at that angle. All right. And then you can copy that code. Paste it. I'm not quite sure why it's highlighting the parenthesis. That's a little disconcerting. Let me just see if that's working. I have to save it. It's not working. Something's going on here. Oh, hello, stupid. I didn't put the thing that I'm styling. HTML body, silliness, and then my braces. And then close brace. That's what I forgot. That's why it was looking so weird. There we go. That's cool, right? I'm going to choose a different set of colors than this. Um, how's that? So I really like this tool a lot. You can also do linear radial gradients. Radial gradients are gradients that have a center and it radiates from the center, right? It looks something like this. I generally don't love these because it creates kind of like a bullseye, but you can put the center point off center if you like. That's doable as well. I forgot how to do that. Let me see. I find that a little bit nicer if the center point is not right in the center of the page. and putting it off center. Let me see if I remember how to do that. I don't remember. I'll figure that out. 353.89. There's a way of doing it. I can't remember. Oh, well. I generally use the linear gradients more often than the radial gradients for that purpose. I just happen to. Okay, got gradients. Yep. Okay, I tend to like these gradients a lot. I use them a lot on my pages because even if it's a subtle gradient, even if it's just a subtle change from one color to another, it adds a lot than just having a flat color. So it can be a very subtle, nice little variation of, say, light blue to darker blue or whatever. All right, so we got the background image, we've got the background gradients. How about we do the audio video now? So we're going to go to the audio video page. In order to do audio video, you need a piece of audio and a piece of video. So which also means we need a folder for it, right? There's more than one way to do this. Like I might, for example, in my let me go to that icons. Sorry. I might, instead of calling my folder images, I might call it media. And then inside of the media folder, I might put different folders for images, audio, and video. How about we do that? Make it, no, I'm not going to do that because I've already got these in my page. So I'm just going to create another folder here called, I'll just call it AV for audio video. All right, and then that means I need a piece of video and audio in my AV folder. Luckily, I have some audio and video in my computer. You probably do too. So why don't you just do that? Now, if you want to download, say, YouTube videos or something, there are websites to do that. So YouTube downloader. There's different websites to do this, to download YouTube videos. And they're changing all the time because I don't know how legal it is. But if you go to this website, I think is one I've used. Let me check. Yeah, this website, you just put the link to the YouTube video there, and you can download the video that way. So download some video. You probably have a song or two at least in your computer somewhere. So download some video, download some audio, and put that in your AV folder. And I'll get some of mine. It's longer. No, what is this? Um, All right, I think that'll work. I'm not sure, I can't remember. I cannot remember. All right, so I have this new folder called AV, and inside of that I have a video and I have an audio file. All right, let's do both. I'm gonna make sure I'm in the right folder, which is called AV. And I guess I'll put this underneath where it says audio video here. I want to do audio, so I use the audio tag. I want the controls to be visible, so I put controls so I can stop and start and all that. It does have an attribute called autoplay, but it doesn't work anymore. They took that functionality away, so even if you put it there, it doesn't work. I'll show you. We just might as well put it there. The reason the browsers don't do that anymore is because they don't want just music to blare out all of a sudden and sounds, because mostly for advertising purposes, because it's abused often. So in between there, we put the source tag. And then I'm inside the HTML folder here, right? This is a page that's inside my HTML folder. So I put .. and then I'm going to go into the AV folder to get this song right here. And then I put the song, which is called heart.m4a. I think M4a is able to be played in HTML. I can't remember. If not, we might have to modify that sound element. I can't remember if it can play or not. I don't usually use sound that often, not without video anyway. Okay, I have a little sound bar here. Let's see if it plays. It does. Really loud, actually. So. I don't know if y'all can hear it, but it works for me. There's some drums. Does that come across? Can you hear that sound? No?
We can't hear it.
No.
Yeah, I'd have to share it. Might as well stop sharing for a second so that we can see stuff. Video is very similar. We use the video tag. And you give it a width and a height, but if you don't, you give it a width and height, it just takes its default width and height. I also want controls, and I'll put autoplay again. It's not going to work, but I might as well put it there just to show you that it doesn't work. And then in between that, we put the source tag for the video as well. Video clip, it's really big. I'll make it a little smaller. See what that does. No, that's not what I want. Okay. It should be 100%. Oh, it should be CSS. I can put that in my CSS. Let's see. I don't know. This is just a test. Hold on a second. Let me just do it this way. Yeah, okay. So I just made the video 100% of the wrapper, or 100, yeah. So that's what I did there by adding the style here. It makes the video 100% of the wrapper. Still maximize it. Enough of that. Y'all get the video and audio to work for yourselves? Yes, no, maybe?
I got it.
Still working on that.
Okie dokie.
Professor, do you mind scroll up a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are y'all with me? Did you get it to work?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have only one thing left to do before I let you go, and that is to create some buttons. Now I'm creating the buttons now because in a way it's the one of the last things we're going to do before we shift over to JavaScript. And buttons play a big role in JavaScript, as do any other like form element that you can click on and interact with. So, and in fact, we're using this tiniest little bit of JavaScript today, even in the buttons themselves. All right, so let's go to that page, buttons.html. Something I haven't shown you yet, and we'll talk more about this on Thursday, is how to type comments in your code, which is something I'm going to want you to do in your pages so that you can identify the different sections of your pages and what you're doing or what you're trying to do. If I want to create comments, I use the open bracket like that, exclamation point, and then a couple of slashes. And then I notice how everything turns gray, right? That means I'm going to be typing stuff that the browser doesn't consider code. The browser's going to ignore this. It's not going to read it. It's just for our benefit. So I'm going to put button elements below. And then underneath that, click to open in new browser window. And then when I'm done with my comments, I put // hyphen hyphen and then close bracket. Now the tag to create any form element. And when we get to JavaScript, you'll see there's a lot of form elements, or a good number of them. One of the main ones is buttons, right? To create a form element, you use the input tag. The input tag is an empty tag. It means it comes by itself, like the img tag, for example. The slash is at the end. But there's all different kinds of input tags. We can have text boxes, we have drop-down menus and all kinds of stuff. But this is going to be a button, so I have to say what kind of input it is. It's button. Now, when I save it like this, let me go to the buttons page. You'll see a tiny little button here, right? If you want to put something in the button, and I think it's a good idea, then you need another attribute, value equals. And how about this button is going to take us to that gradient page. So gradients. So when I reload, we see the word gradients there. Now, to make it open up, do something, right? It's not doing anything right now, right? I want to add a third attribute, and that is on click, meaning when we click on this button, what do we want it to do? Well, I want it to open up a new window, right? So, oops, equals, and then this is actually JavaScript, what I'm about to type here. Window, we'll talk more about what this means, dot open in a future class. And then parenthesis. And then we put the full URL, the full address of whatever website we want to open, right? So in single quotes, HTTPS www.cssgradient.io, I think that's what it is. All right, let's see if that works. No, it doesn't work. Why not? Window.open https cssgradients.io. What did I type wrong? Yeah, maybe it's not www, but that's not. CSS gradient or gradient.io. All right, what did I do wrong? Input type equals button, grade value gradients, on click window.open. Oh, stupid. My bad, sorry. I didn't close my parenthesis. This is what it should look like at the end. Single quote closes because that's for the URL, and the double quotes close here because that's for the whole thing. All right, there we go. Now it works. So double quotes here is for the whole thing, right? All of that. So window.open, HTTPS, CSS gradient.io, all of that is in double quotes. So the double quotes come at the end here. The single quotes is just for the URL. So it's single quotes within double quotes. All right, let's do another. input type equals button value equals, let's do the color thing. Colors, let's call, we call them hex colors. On click equals window dot open https color.adobe.com. Okay, that works. Let's do one more. Oh, I didn't put it in there. All right, so you'll notice that these, when we click on these buttons, they open up other browser windows, right? But they open up a new window too, right? It opens in a new tab. So this command, window.open, is JavaScript. That's what JavaScript does. It opens up a brand new browser window. But if you wanted to open up a link and stay in the same window, then we have to do something else, or slightly different. So here I'm going to put another comment. Button element below. Click button to open in same browser window. So it's basically the same. Type equals button. Value. Let's just say we're going to go to, I don't know, back to home with this button. So value equals home. And then on click equals. So far everything's the same. But for the on click, it's slightly different. Window open opens a brand new browser window. Window dot location does not. So equals, and I just want to go back home. So dot slash index.html. Notice we still have to do the double quotes, right? I mean, the single quotes here, because we have the double quotes for the everything, and then the single quotes here. So the last things here, we have a single quote and a double quote, right? We close the single quotes first, and then we close the double quotes here. So if I just click on home, it just stays in the same window. Okay. The last thing I'd like to do is style these buttons, and then we're going to be done. Now, a couple of things. I'm doing this partly to introduce a new CSS thing to you also. Sometimes you want to style many things at the same time. So let's say for here, I want to style all 4 of these buttons in the same way. We use the input tag to create the buttons, right? So I could use in my CSS, I could use input to do the styles. The problem with that is that, as I mentioned, there are lots of other elements that you use the input for, like drop-down menus, text boxes, all that stuff, right? So let's say I think maybe in the future, I'm going to use some text boxes and drop-down menus and stuff, which I use the same tag. But if I style the buttons in a particular way, that means that all those elements will get styled the same way, even if they're totally different, right? I mean, a text box is not going to look like a button. A drop-down menu is not going to look like a button either, right? So if we want the different elements to look different, then we can't use the input tag. So I want these to be a specific, what we call class of elements, and I'm going to style this class of elements in a particular way. So to create a class, we just name them. It's kind of like an ID. The difference between an ID is we only use the ID once per page, right? So we have only one wrapper in this page. We only have one menu in this page. We only have one main in this page, right? But if you use a class like our class, we have lots of students, right? This is the student class. So there's only one teacher. But for the class, I can use it multiple times. So I'm going to create a class and use that class to style these buttons. So the class is going to be called just the letter B. So class equals B. And I'll do that for all my inputs. Class equals B. Right? Class equals B. I missed one here. All right, so we have class equals B for all 4 of these inputs tags. So that is going to be the class. Now that by itself doesn't do anything, right? We have to attach CSS to the class if we want it to affect the way the buttons look. Okay, so that means I go to my CSS file. And I'll just do it down at the bottom, I guess. To style an ID, we use the hashtag, right? The pound sign. To style a class, we just use the dot B. Remember, that's the name of my class, dot B. Okay. All right, so I guess we can start by giving it a background color. And let's see what that looks like. Make some dark. Okay. Border color. Okay. Text color. And the border radius will turn the corners into curves. Okay. Now, if we want those to change when we mouse over it, then we put dot B colon hover. So when we mouse over it, we can change, say, the color and background color, right? Background color. And the color of the text. So it changes colors when we mouse over it, hover. I'm going to make them a little smaller. Let's put the padding smaller. Okay. Lots of little odds and ends today, right? It's a lot to do with color and CSS and background images, but also the audio and video. So, I mean, I think at this point, you know how to organize your pages, you know how to use divs, you know how to put the different pieces of text in there, you know now how to style things pretty well. You know how to add audio and video and gradients and stuff. So lots of things here at your disposal. We haven't done everything. There's still more we could do, but I think that's quite a bit. We'll do a little bit more with CSS on Thursday. But then I'll cut the class short so that you can have time to work on your projects and meet with me if you want to. Okay. Let me stop sharing. All right. So that's it for today. I guess I'll see y'all on Thursday, okay? Let me know if you have questions, as always. Yeah, send me a message on Discord or email or whatever, and I'd be happy to help you out if you need help. So have a good day.
All right.
Have a good one.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.